indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Father in heaven, as we come before the beginning of the city council meeting, we're so grateful for the area in which we live. We're so thankful for the service that's provided for us by so many. We pray that thou will continue to bless them with that spirit of service. We're thankful for the opportunity of being able to discuss and determine the things which are best in our eyes. We're thankful for the help which we've been given by the various committees and councils which we have to advise us. We're thankful for the love which we feel and the generosity of those around us. We ask thee that thou will bless us, that we may make decisions that are proper and in accordance with the things that should be done here. And this we pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Danny. Communications and appearances. Do we have any general communications and appearances? Something that's not related to an item in the agenda? You got anything? Okay. All right, we'll jump down into conflicts and disclosures, council. For the agenda tonight, does anyone have a conflict that they need to disclose? Any of the items that are on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move into the working agenda. There are no public hearings scheduled tonight. On the consent agenda, council, we have the approval of the claims and minutes from the August 26, 2020 regular city council minutes to September 2nd, 2020 city council work meeting minutes, and the claims through September 9th. We also have to approve the Santa Clara City Stormwater Management Maintenance Program and approve resolution 2020-14R. This is something we've had numerous discussions about, and I think Jack is on the Zoom call and Scott is here if he's not, if we have any questions on that. Approve the bid to update the council chambers in the upstairs conference room. Brock went over that in our work meeting last week. And number 4, approve the service agreement to transcribe minutes for city council meetings and approve resolution 2020-15R, which we also discussed last week at the work meeting. Council, is there any questions you have on any of those items that you'd like to ask the staff or get clarification on?
Just on that, Brock, what was the number again without scrolling all the way through here on the conference?
Here in the council chamber, they lose about 27,000 and change. The upstairs council, our conference room was 12, 13,000, and then the conference room downstairs.
And Brock, just for the record, can you review why we didn't do an RFP on those items?
Yeah, we didn't do one because we felt like this was like a sole source. Talked to Whole Sound. They have done our upgrade in here. We did a few years ago. We also worked in our conference room. So we just felt they know the system. It's their system that they built. It was best for them. They're trying to bring someone else in. I think they would not be happy. That felt our purchasing policy.
Any other questions, council? Everybody okay doing this in one motion, or would you like to do them separately?
One motion.
I would look for a motion.
I move to approve the claims and minutes as designated.
I'll second it.
You want to approve the entire consent agenda or just item 1
Yes.
of the consent agenda?
Yes, the entire.
So the motion is to approve the entire consent agenda as presented. Second's okay?
Yes.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any question or discussion on the motion? This is a money item. Roll call. Wendell?
Aye.
Aye.
Lena?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Jarrett?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you, council. Calendar of events, item 6, a regular meeting in 2 weeks. The work meeting's on October 7th. Do we have anything on that agenda yet? Is that the joint meeting?
Just be looking forward to have that joint meeting with the planning commission.
On October 7th?
Yes.
October 14th, regular city council, and 27th, a regular meeting. Any questions on the calendar, council? Okay, item C. General business, number 1, consider approval to update the Santa Clara City Code Title II, Chapter 2.08.010, compensation and salaries, and approve ordinance 2020-12. Brock?
All right, so we're going through and just trying to update some things in the code. We noticed that in that title 2.08.010 was compensation for the mayor and the city council. It previously was stated that the mayor's wages, what it was years ago at $700 and the council was at $380 a month. We just wanted to update that to what the current is. As it stated that the mayor per month is $1,196.99 and city council members are $587.99 a month. So just kind of housekeeping, just cleaning that up, updating to what it currently is.
This isn't, there's no additional raises, no new raises or anything given out. You're just correcting it on paper.
Yep, I just don't think it's been updated for quite a few years, and so just
Long time.
make sure that is accurate as people go and look.
Okay.
From there, that it's accurate.
Right. Council, any question concerning that ordinance? If there's no question, I'd look for motion.
I can make the motion that we approve to update the City Code Title II, Chapter 2.08.010, and approve ordinance 2020-12.
Second.
Got a motion by Lena and a second by Ben. Is there any question on that motion, council? This is an ordinance, roll call. Jarrett?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Lena?
Aye.
Benny?
Aye.
Wendell?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you, council. You guys are on a roll. You can set a record. Consider, number 2, consider approval of fireworks contract. Brock?
All right, so with the Swiss Days, cancellation, we decided we were going to do a fireworks celebration on September 25th, roughly 9 o'clock following the completion of the high school football game. So we went to Fireworks America, who mainly does most of the fireworks celebrations here in town. And so we have a contract with them to provide that service on September 25th. We provided a budget of $20,000 for this contract. Lays that out. Matt has reviewed it. We had one concern with the insurance that Fireworks America was to have. We resolved that. And so I think with that, we have to give them a down payment, which we cut that check today. Hopefully that will sign the contract, and then they are ready to go. We spoke with Murray Gubler, who he actually is not running it anymore. It's a gentleman by the name of Kevin Bruckner. So Matt and I visit with him today, and he's excited to do it. The fireworks are ordered and ready to go. So it should be a good show on the 25th. And now if Matt has anything to add.
Nope. So have we coordinated, it's kind of with the school district, and they know after homecoming, everything's set up with them? And
So I've been up and spoke with the school. They're all on board. Murray has stated they obtain all the permits. They do everything that way. Brooke Entz, though I did speak with her, she was going to call the school district and just to make sure with them. I haven't heard back from her, but everything from the school, the high school, said you guys are good to be there and do that. So we did get an email from St. George City this morning saying, hey, one of their event people said, hey, we noticed that you guys are going to do a fireworks and you guys need to get a permit and stuff. And so we'll sent that on to Murray just to make sure that that permit is obtained. They said they would obtain all the permits. So we'll just have to follow up with Kevin and make sure those permits are obtained. So
What's the actual physical site? Would it be over by the high school? Or?
Yeah, they're just south of the softball field on the rugby field is where they say they now set them off. They'll be doing that this Friday night, following homecoming, and then, on the.
So is Chief Hancy, who's in charge of fire control?
Well, St. George will, from what I was told, is Murray said they will have St. George Fire there, but our guys will be there ready to help out as well if anything comes our way. So
Seems like a good time to burn the wash, Mayor.
It's- yeah.
I'm just saying. I mean.
I think it's ready. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions, council? Concerning the contract? Okay, if there's no other questions, I'd look for a motion.
Mayor, I'll make that motion that we approve the fireworks contract as presented.
Second.
A motion by Ben and a second by Lena to approve the fireworks contract. Any question on that motion? Again, it's a money item. Roll call. Wendell?
Aye.
Benny?
Aye.
Lena?
Aye.
Ben?
Aye.
Jarrett?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you, council. It's 5:15 and we're already number 7, mayor and council reports. The record is 28 minutes, just so you know. Ben?
None, Mayor.
Oh, got all tingly there.
And I'm just saying, we need a record. We've had some long ones lately.
Lena?
I've had no committee meetings so far.
Danny?
Snow Canyon is going to send a letter asking for support for Zone 6.
Okay, you State Park.
The advisory council. I didn't know I was on it, but I guess I am. Anyway.
It's due tomorrow. Comments on the Northern
No,
Corridor.
they had their meeting last week.
But the comment is part of the Northern Corridor.
Closing.
Yeah, those comments are due tomorrow. Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Wendell?
Just one small item. Washington County Solid Waste had a meeting yesterday, and they hired a new district manager. His name is Ben Billingsley. And they introduced him and told us a little bit about him. My biggest question, and he was a young man. Where are you? At least I went home and told my wife, I said, they hired a really young man to be. And she looked at me and said, that's because you're old. He's probably 40 years old. So I asked Brock how old he was. He's 41. I'd say he's in the range of 30 to 35. But seemed like a good young man and had some good credentials, some good background. He hasn't had any experience in the solid waste, though, is one question I had. But, he has some good financial background. So he starts 17th of this month.
Okay. Maybe when you get back together with him, invite him to come over and introduce him to the
He is going to come to each city and introduce himself.
That'd be great. Okay, anything else?
That's all I have.
The Mayor's Association meeting yesterday. COVID situation seems to be pretty flat as far as numbers go. The ICU had 5 in it. I think there was a total of 9 cases in the hospital, which is pretty much flat what it's been for the last couple of weeks. The school district was only reporting, I think, Superintendent Bergeson, the schools are operating well, no confirmed transmission at the schools. They're continuing to wear the mask, social distancing. They've had good attendance at events. Things are pretty much normal with the mask wearing and the precautions that they're taking place there, and they're continuing with those precautions. President Williams reported the same from Dixie State. It was going well in week 4, low number of cases. Their biggest issue over there is fighting the rumors. There's a rumor going around up to 1,000 students have been exposed, but when they're doing their own tracking and checking up on people over there, and that's not the case. The students are being responsible for the most part, other than the large group that got together at the lake the other day. So things are going well on the COVID front. We hope that they continue to go that way, and we'll get another update tomorrow.
Mayor, I have a correction. That letter is for enlarging the parking in 3 different locations in Snow Canyon.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, they wanted it for Area 6.
It's a different conversation.
Okay. So they just need a letter of support for enlarging the parking in the city. You want to do some bullet points?
They've already
Given it to us?
sent the letter. They're sending it. Brian Smethers from St. George is supposed to be sending us a copy.
Okay, great.
We just need to get it on letterhead or letterhead.
Yeah, let's look over what Brian
I-
sends us and go
I
through it.
think what they're having is just the advisory board sign the letter. We're sending.
But we don't need a letter of
No,
support.
we're not sending a separate.
Anybody got any problem expanding the parking at Snow Canyon? I think you can sign that later. We need a little more parking at Snow Canyon. My experience. I think that's the only meeting that I have had. We haven't got to the MPO or anything yet this month. So that's all I had. Let me go real fast. Do we have executive session tonight? Yes. Okay. Before we do that.
You want my report, Mayor?
Oh, I forget the kids sitting at the kids table.
I was just thinking, I didn't hear Jerry.
Garrett,
I
give us a
I
report.
can be quick. We did have our CEC meeting, and we discussed kind of what CEC is up to since there's no games on campus. That's usually what they're doing this time of year. And they explained they're just doing extra high school football games and doing some other good projects. So they're doing what the CEC. And then we also had kind of a discussion as to the future of the CEC, where we're not servicing debt now. There's going to be some more money to spend on programming and equipping students with equipment, things like that. So we're kind of working on a 5-year plan of what to do at the station. And then I just wanted to let the city know that the Shop in Utah grant is coming open again this Monday. If there's any way we can get that out to our businesses, if you were impacted by COVID at all, you can get a matching grant from the state up to, I think it's $150,000 now. So I got one for my business in St. George, and basically you just have to give back half of the grant in discounts to your customers. So I got the full 50,000 when it first became available. And it wasn't super well known, I don't think, and it went really quickly, but the legislature reallocated funds to make more available. And like I said, it's coming open this coming Monday at 9 a.m. And I'm assuming it'll go pretty quickly again, because even I can reapply for more money where I got it before. But if we could send that out to anyone.
If you've got that and can get it to Christelle, she can get it on the web page and on the Facebook post. I don't know that we have a business, we have a database of business listed.
Itzy has it.
We
She
can
has a
pull one
list.
through our utilities. We can
Okay, maybe-
business licenses.
Yeah, even something that you can email, we could send that out that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been an amazing program. So
Yeah, get us what you have, and we'll definitely get something sent out.
Okay.
Post it on social media as well.
that's all I have.
Thank you, Jared. Does staff have anything tonight? Chief? Sergeant? Scott? Christelle? Want to take 10 minutes? Okay, Matt, anything before we go to executive session? Rob?
One thing that we've had a lot of discussion about, and we had a big one last week on the street impact fee. I got a call last night from Dollar Tree. Still wondering what's happening with their impact fee. And so staff, we've had
Steve Hall from Sunrise, who did our impact fee study, relook, and he's put a whole bunch more categories in there, easier to try to pick things out, but doesn't change, I think, the category that we still would put them in. And so so they're trying to look for, and we're looking for, I guess, some guidance, on council's thoughts from last meeting. I don't know, staff walked out, okay, the number that was given to them as the estimate pre-number versus where it actually came out. Do we go with the number that is now the number that is there? It would be the 60,000 or 61,000 versus the 34 that was given to them. They're just looking for a little bit of guidance on.
I think after the whole discussion, at least the way that I heard it was, I was initially concerned that the fee had doubled on it. But as the conversation went on and then follow-ups I've had with Jack is that the original estimate wasn't based on what their actual application was. So they were different.
Yeah, and that's the question. What that number that was given to them before, as it was stated there, we don't know where that was
So
calculated
it
from.
wasn't that they were given a number and then the number doubled, but the number that they were given on that estimate back in January wasn't based on what the actual permit application was for the store. So in my thoughts, that you should reflect what the policy is. If I don't know that there's a mechanism for council to waive the fee or to reduce the fee without justification for it. Matt, any thoughts? They're asking for a $30,000 reduction.
Streets impact.
Specifically.
And let me state though, they haven't, nothing's been, they haven't, like in my discussion with Mr. Forsyth last night, he wasn't like pushing, saying that's what I, have, this is what you told me. His was more of, that's what I was given, but that's what I built my budget off. Now it's doubled. I think for him, I'd say he's not demanding that it has to be, but I think he definitely would, like that's what he was down. He led to believe that that's where he would be closer to that number than double. So I think he's very open, whatever, but if council and staff, I spoke with Jack today, hard to go with it. That's the number, what it is. That's what the impact fee is, and that's what goes. But I think he's open to not stuck on that 34,000. So.
You know who gave him that estimate, and does that person have any information as far as paperwork showing what they submitted to them?
Jack gave him the street impact fee number. It was gave him an estimate of, I guess, fees, but it didn't have all the fees on there. There was some of the impact fees, they weren't all on there. All the breakdown of the building permit fee, the HCP fee. There's a lot of fees that weren't on there.
Does Jack have anything showing what they asked, what they submitted?
Not that I've went on my discussions. He has nothing that can go back to really definitively say this is how he calculated that fee. So.
I will add, just on a total separate note, because after that discussion, again, where I came from on this is just on the sales tax revenue generated from these businesses. And I think Dollar Tree obviously being a retailer, they're going to generate some sales tax. So I just reached out afterwards and just asked Buck to give us his traffic numbers and his sales tax revenue. I had it opened up, but so their mall drive store did 200 trips a day on average, did a 75,395 in that first year, which averaged 200 trips a day. And I don't know how that breaks out on where that falls in that, but it seemed like we were talking like 80 or something, but.
Yeah. So,
but
that's what
their sales tax revenue on their Hurricane store, which I think will mirror this, is $416,000 was remitted last year. And I think the city gets half of that.
yeah. Yeah.
When you start looking at revenues generated toward the city, that's And again, I just had that from Buck, but I would, Dollar Tree is a smaller store and I have no idea what those numbers are. But I think as we look at this, the road fee is we have a low and we have a high and we have nothing in between. And I don't know if St. George, I didn't get a chance to go look at St. George. I'm pretty sure they're the same or very, very much, because I know what we paid for the Bahama Bucks, which was a 6,000 square foot building, and it was in the tune of almost $90,000 just for the street impact. Granted, it had 2 drive-throughs. So for what it's worth, I just wanted to relay those numbers of trips per day plus sales tax revenue. And, as we get looking at this, what it generates to the city, what it will.
Yeah, that's the one that we've struggled staff, because they're the commercial. We're very similar of the categories to St. George. The one that it falls under is it's an 820 general commercial shopping. And that's the same as theirs. Our numbers are different, but it's still that same. And so that's what we struggled, is that number's there and there's not, we've tried, we looked at a lot of different options. We looked at there's one called a variety store, a discount store, but they're all higher than that general commercial. And so trying to get to a category that we think they fit, that's the one that we get. We're going to just keep coming back to.
I mean, but for now, we're functioning under the existing ordinance. You would have to incorporate any reduction in the fee, you would have to go back through and modify the ordinance prior to the application. So if he wanted to withhold his application and give council time to wrestle with it, I guess that would be an option for him.
So Matt, can I ask a question to Matt? Because he wasn't here when we had that discussion. They had left. So my question is if we felt like there were maybe some errors made on the cities, on behalf of the city, I don't want to say errors, that sounds terrible, but if there was something that maybe we should have fully disclosed an estimate or something of that nature, and we didn't do that, is there a way for us to remedy that by reducing that? I get it has to be made up somewhere else, but by reducing the impact fee in some fashion to accommodate that issue?
That's a good question. My gut reaction is no. And the reason I say no is because there are, in the Impact Fee Act, there's certain scenarios where you can make an exception or modify an impact fee for a particular property owner or a particular developer. But you have to, there has to be some justification for that. There has to be something unique about what they're trying to do. They have to submit some kind of data or something that supports the change that they're looking to see. I think it would be hard for us to justify saying, essentially, if I'm understanding what you're saying, we're essentially saying, well, the quote we gave you or the estimate we gave you was too low, but we're still going to honor it. And essentially is what you're saying. I'm obviously oversimplifying, and I don't know that without some other justification is justified in the Impact Fee Act. I mean, the bottom line is you give someone a discount like that, and it has to be picked up somewhere else.
Right.
So, although there are scenarios under the Impact Fee Act where you can waive a fee, reduce a fee, modify a fee, certainly if someone contributes something that reduces your need for impact fees, you're actually required by law to give credit or reimbursement. But otherwise, I think you'd have to have a pretty strong justification. I think I seem to recall with Harmon's, we did some things because of the economic impact.
And the contribution they made, they paid for the signal.
Right, but see, that's a straightforward, you pay for the signal, we don't have to pay for it out of impact. So that's obviously, we would be required to do that under the statute. But if you did something more like you recognize the significant impact that sales tax revenue is going to have, you would have to have that kind of justification to do some other change to the impact.
So it sounds like our hands, yeah, so in this case, it sounds like our hands are tied.
Yeah, unless we're, you want to make that, finding that the potential economic impact can offset the impact fees, and we're going to take a portion of that sales tax revenue that we do receive and set it aside specifically for transportation type projects that the impact fees we're covering.
I don't know that you would have to do that specifically, but I think you would have to pinpoint and identify some kind of justification. And, recognize too, you do that for one person and the next
You
guy
probably can do it for all of them.
comes in and wants to do the same thing. So that's why I say it's a little different from, your private business that you have. You want to honor a quote you gave to somebody, but that gets us into a little bit of trouble with me. So that's my gut reaction. If you want me to look into it.
Thank you.
From the council side, I would, as we move, we don't have a lot of commercial. And obviously we don't have if you read the general plan, it really has a line in there saying we need retail. We'd love to get retail. We haven't got retail. And now we've got a few coming in. I think we'll have a few more that will have a significant impact to the city financially. And I don't think in the case of Dollar Tree right now, it's going to, if I'm waiting to pull that permit, you want to pull the permit and build it. But I do think it would be something that as a council, we should review what those numbers are, because they'll be able to provide the same thing. They'd be able to provide, hey, here's 6 stores and the sales tax revenue that's generated out of them and the size of the store. And, that would give the city a good idea of what would come to the city. And then I think at least give us an idea to whether or not we can or can't do it. And we may not be able to in this, but I do think I think it's worth the council at least looking at it, because there are a few other pads around Harmon's that I think will be retail. I don't know what some of those smaller places, I don't know. I'm assuming a bank doesn't generate sales tax revenue. So
Yeah, that'd be the trickiest. You could go back and relook at your capital facilities plan for transportation and your impact fee study and build in some language that way that would base it on trips. If you were generating sales tax revenue and you did so many trips, what your impact fee would be, and then put it in the plan.
Yeah, sure. And then that would obviously apply any.
Exactly. Then the precedent you set is the precedent that you set.
Yeah,
It's not.
there would be no issues with that.
Yeah, we could go do that. And then you could separate maybe a bank or something that is not generating sales tax from a sales tax generator, knowing that that store is going to generate revenue to the city that we can use for some road projects going forward, and possibly use it like an incentive, and base it on the numbers that they give us that we can, verify. Dollar Tree would be an easy one because they've got a lot of stores close, so they can tell you what their daily trips are and do it that way. I worry a little bit when they go up. A store that generates a lot of trips that may be in a lower category on the blanket, and then you look at the trips and all of a sudden it's a higher category. But I think we could definitely look at that as a city and just reopen that ordinance. And then Dollar Tree would have the option to wait until we went through that process, or they could move forward under the existing ordinance.
Matt, we've got 30 more days before the new impact fees go into effect. And if they delayed this and came back after that, they could actually see an increase.
Yeah.
In that case, I'd just encourage them to get their application in before
Actually,
they get vested.
I'm sure that they were aware. What would be nice is if we gave them, here's the scenario, we either pay $60 now if you want to delay it, when you come back in 60 days from now or 30 days from now, it's going to run you 80,000. I mean, that's the scenario.
Does the vesting require the impact fee to be made or just the application that paid or just the application to have been made?
Just to have, just a completed application.
Does that require the fee? That was one question I had last time.
Yeah.
Does the fee have to be paid? I know on like a land development application, the fee has to be.
Yeah, I mean, if I was in their shoes, I would pay the fees, just so there was no question.
Because they've already made the application. That was done in June, right? Wasn't that the date? I think.
Yeah, they haven't paid the fee yet.
Right. That's why we had the question.
Yeah.
So would we deem them vested already?
I would generally say they should pay the fee if there's, and that applies to any application, even if it's just an application fee, or you wouldn't consider it a complete application until it's been paid.
I think we determined last time that the fee actually would have been, for commercial, actually went down based on the change. I still didn't get all the math, but it did come down on that. So I don't, again, from our side, I think it is, we're not off what other cities are. I mean, that it is, and there are, you see these big companies come in and they have people, they hire people that negotiate, impact fee reductions because of the, the revenue they generate in the community.
I
But
wonder if that's a reduced impact fee or if that's a incentive bonus to help compensate the impact fee.
and it's probably the latter. It probably is the incentive on that. And again, we don't have a ton of that. It's just, I would, from an economic side from the city, I'd love to see retailers and not just economics. I think it's good for the city. It gives citizens places to go shop and stay right in their community. And
As a city, we could establish an incentive program to incentivize business and pull that money from general fund to help pay a portion of the impact fee. The impact fee stays the same. The city just helps reduce the impact on the business paying the fee on the basis that we're going to get that 200,000 new revenue every year. You could do that.
And I think that'd be, and I don't think it would take much. I mean, if you take a Dollar Tree that generate, let's say it's 100,000 a year or 50, I think that we're talking $30,000 in the grand scheme of the impact and it may not even be that. It may be 20,000. So you take a company that generates 3 times that annually. To me, it makes sense for a city side to,
Sure.
but we've still got to, we've got to pay for the bridges and we need to pay for the infrastructure. So I see both sides there, but I think we'll have a lot better chance paying for it, getting these retailers here sooner. So
Matt, you'd probably have to put it in the budget. Decide what dollar amount you're going to do and put it in the budget and go through that process. And then you could offer that incentive. I think that's how Washington City did the Home Depot, Walmart.
I think in the industrial areas, they have an employee number. Their bonus according to how many they employ and whatever the wage act has an incentive too.
We just have to say we're going to set aside this number of dollars, put it in the budget to incentivize new business that can generate revenues or employees to move into the city. And then your impact fee stays whole and you're just reducing the fee to them by compensating them. We can direct staff to look at that and bring something back to you. It may not, depending on how fast Dollar Tree wants to move, it may or may not help them, but that's something that could happen.
I think they're ready to go. So,
Yeah, they had equipment up there today.
yeah, he said they have people here ready to.
Is that what they're doing? They're just waiting for a definitive number?
Yeah, that's really to actually pull the permit. That's what he's.
The word I
waiting on.
got, they were going to pay the full permit and then come back and ask for help.
Well, he didn't mention that last night on the phone. He just said, I've got people there ready to go to work. He kind of was more, can I get to work without my permit? And I talked to Jack. I said, going and starting the grading, they've got to do some overacts. I said, as long as he got his permits, the NOI SWIP and those things, that side of things, okay. I said, actual permit. You won't be able to go vertical or anything like that, but you could start moving some
I
dirt.
think Corey told me, I think you mentioned it during the meeting last week, is that they were going to go ahead and pay the amount that was on the application, that we gave them the new amount, the updated amount, and then come back and ask council for some relief. So,
And I think it would be, I would like to see the staff at least look at it. And again, Jack knows the numbers on the roads, you know, way better than I ever would. So, but it'd be nice to see that and then also know the numbers, what those revenues are. I don't know, what a Harmon's does for the city, and what some of those other retailers around there do. And yet some of these other smaller retailers, what they would do. So it'd be worth looking at. And
you guys okay if staff takes a look at that?
I am. But Matt, I think based on what you said, if they pay it, there's not going to be really any more discussion we're going to have because our hands are going to be tied. We're not going to be able to go in and mitigate and reimburse them back or do anything like that, right?
I just think that anything you do for a single applicant,
Yeah.
you're going to have a really strong justification for it. I think that's what it comes down to. So,
Yeah.
I think we need to develop a citywide program.
Yeah. Which may not help them. I feel really bad because I think there were some things that maybe shouldn't have happened. So I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if it's possible to run the numbers with today's numbers and run the numbers with the new amount to see if we can give them the benefit of the lower whatever those two items are. I don't know if we can do that, but I'd sure like to see us, if we can do that at least, since our hands will be tied.
I mean, I think they would do it at their own risk, but you say to them, we're looking at some options that might reduce your fee.
And that's it.
If you want to hold off on your vertical side.
Then I would say, Brock, if they want to get started, we should be really clear with them that there isn't anything we're going to be able to do after the fact.
Yes, the other thing you could do is they could put their application in, they could pay the fee now, essentially lock it in. And then if the city decides to change something that's to their benefit, they can pull their application and reapply for their permit.
well, I think the permit, the way it's set up, the minute the fee's ready to be paid, that's when everything's checked off. And so I think at that point you have a permit the next day, I believe, or that day, I guess. So I'm looking at Selena there that takes that. But I think in Lena's question on that is there's fees in there in the estimate we gave them that I just don't understand why they weren't there. I don't understand why, or
It was done, I think the reason is it was done in January, February.
but there were zeros on the
No
application
plans.
fee.
There was no plans submitted.
The
What I talked to Jack about, I don't know if Jack's talked to Christelle yet, was developing that spreadsheet, or Selena, to where we'll give them an estimate on anything they define. They have to define it. So they have to say how many square feet the building is. It was a really early estimate, and it didn't have all the data necessary to generate the accurate fee. The new spreadsheet, the way Jack explained it to me just yesterday, everything that's necessary to do a complete estimate, they have to provide. So they make the assumption on the water meter, power meter requirements, the square footage, the use for transportation, everything that goes into that estimate, they tell us. So we'll give them an estimate based on what you tell us. Now, if you actually submit plans that are different, that estimate's only good for what you told us.
And they're modifying that estimate to put that disclaimer on there that that's what's on there, right?
I think we can avoid what happened on this one just by incorporating that into the process. He's working on it right now, this minute? Nice.
Gonna say, you could set up a spread, you could set up a spreadsheet.
Yeah, it won't take.
That
long.
literally you could, I mean, we have it on our, we could tell you the last 20 jobs, every line item per square foot. You can watch lumber just. So, but literally you could plug in a square foot number and it'll spit out every
Is that,
line
I
item.
would think that would help an applicant
Yeah.
going through the process to kind of get an idea on it without committing the city, that, hey, this is the final. This is based on what you, the assumptions you made. And then once we get the plans, we'll correct it to the actual requirements.
And the commercial impact fees are expensive. I mean, that's just the, that's where, from a residential side, as painful as it is to see these commercial areas fill in, they economically, they are good for cities because that's revenue you don't get out of residential areas and revenue that'll continue. So you want to see them be successful, but it is a big number usually on those.
Okay.
Thank
get
you.
Your question
Oh,
answered.
yep, clear.
You blew my record time.
I was going to say that.
I knew with the executive session we were going, so we might as well just enjoy.
Nice cover. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, I need a motion to go into executive session.
And for the motion, it's for, to discuss pending litigation.
To discuss pending litigation.
I will make that motion.
I'll
Yeah.
second.
I got a motion by Ben and a second by Jarrett to go into executive session and discuss pending litigation. We'll go ahead and excuse the staff unless you need to stay on this one, and thank everybody for being here. Sarah, good to see you. Did I vote on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All in favor, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Ayes have it, 5-0. Thanks, Lena. Yeah. Thanks, Scott, for cleaning that street. Take all the credit for it, buddy.
Oh, hey, great work. Great work. Whoever it was.
I actually had to laugh when I reread
Yes.
your response email on the tire shredder too, because that was still in my thing. And I read, oh, he actually replied to her too. At first I thought that
I
was
just
just
want to give her a little hope.
because she replied and was like, can't wait. And I was like, oh, that went to her too.
Yeah, that was not by accident.
Made me laugh. That's great.
I just want Brock to make sure we're not broadcasting to the
Here, we
web
shut off.
before I
Zoom.
talk.
So I had hope for a record council